Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am checking my volumes. Mr. B, this section of the show is dedicated to Mr. B. He told me that it drives him crazy when I check the volumes at the beginning of my show, and so this section sponsored by Mr. B, not sponsored, but dedicated to Mr. B, because I had to check. Every once in a while, I start the show and I just had forgotten to check the volumes, and that's why I do that. But he made the mistake of letting me know that it bothered him, and so I always give him credit. All right, we're just kidding here. Now, wanted to show you this. I was yesterday. ETH Denver's been posting all sorts of things. But before I start on this conversation, I want to reiterate while we were uncovering ETHgate the whole time. I reiterated this from time to time. My mission never has been, is not gonna be. My mission is not in any way to hurt Bitcoin or Ethereum in anything that I say. The mission it's always been one mission, and that is to get a level playing field. And this industry, to this day,
about 4 years ago, or 2019.
As I sit here to this day, we do not have a level playing field. The fact that Bitcoin has an ETF first is because of regulatory capture and all the other stuff. It's because they've lied about not knowing who the Satoshis are. It's a rigged game. That's the only reason Bitcoin, it's not because it's had some divine creation. That's all a bunch of BS. We all know it. They know it. They don't want to admit it. But I mean, the fact that Homeland Security met with them. But my point is, I own some Bitcoin, and I have for a while. But the point is that the mission has never, and plus you can't. These are protocol. You're not going to destroy them. That's not the mission. All we wanted was XRP to have an actual free market where the best digital asset will rise to the top because you have a level playing field. My mission has always been. There's not one reason under the sun that there ever should have been a lawsuit against XRP. Then they should not still be in one. The Ripple guys, the Ethereum founders couldn't survive 1/100th of the scrutiny that Ripple has been through with the SEC, because there are actual, real problems once you start scratching beneath the surface. But that's not my mission. I want Ethereum to do well. I want Bitcoin to do well. I want XRP to do well. But I want them to do well on a level playing field with an actual free market. And so until we get that, which we still don't have, we will continue beating them over the head with truth, with the truth of what's going on. And I won't stop until there's a level playing field. Okay. So this is a complete and utter farce. I thought that after we uncovered ETHgate, well, I didn't think, until this clip, these guys stopped talking about decentralization and Hinman and the speech and all that, because they knew that we busted them, okay? These guys, and I know for a fact Jake Travinsky knows all the details of ETHgate, because he was there. We were putting it right in front, under his nose. He knows everything that happened, and for him to sit on stage and talk like this is just makes you want to vomit, because it's all bull.
About 4 years ago, or 2019, Bill Hinman said ETH is not a security because it's sufficiently decentralized, and henceforth the entire industry has tried to sort of run through this door of.
You mean the slammed door? That was the whole point of it, is to do the speech and have this vague decentralization where somehow Bill Hinman decided that this is somehow sufficiently decentralized, when he's literally meeting with the guys, with Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Lubin behind the scenes before he gives the speech. Even Joseph Lubin himself has said that Ethereum is not decentralized as of like the last year. I've got the videos, folks. It was all bullcrap, and it was all to slam the door. And the only reason you hear any of these people that were involved in ETHgate talking about how they care, they think we need a regulatory framework, they weren't saying any of that stuff before we uncovered ETHgate, because they thought they had created the monopoly that was the whole goal. Get Bitcoin and Ethereum out from under securities laws, then you got your monopoly. You slam the door on everybody else. And they just can't ever seem to figure out how to get decentralized. And it's all vague, which means that the power to decide whether someone was sufficiently decentralized resided with whoever's at the SEC. And so nobody ever was sufficiently decentralized. You see how this works?
Efficient decentralization. But I would make the claim that that's actually not great for a huge swath of projects building in the space, particularly those building at the application layer, where progressive decentralization is probably more optimal.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I guess to add a bit on the regulatory side, when I think about decentralization, what I think it means from a legal perspective is the absence of any one central party who has outsized influence in an ecosystem or a protocol or some other blockchain-based product or service, such that it makes sense to regulate them because of whatever risk they create in that ecosystem. So when we talk about sufficient decentralization, really what we mean is having an ecosystem or some other type of protocol where there is no party like that, where regulation is justified. And that really was, as Jesse said, what Bill Hinman said when he initially used the term sufficient decentralization. He said, when you look at Ether today, there is no central party who should be forced to make...
Jake Chervinsky knows damn well who the central parties are. He also knows that Bill Hinman was meeting with Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Lubin behind the scenes while they're saying that this thing doesn't have this third party or whatever. He knows, because he was there. He's seen all the tweets and the stuff. Shameful.
Disclosures or otherwise comply with the securities laws, because there is no one party that has privileged access to information or some other role in the Ethereum ecosystem.
And I said, I'm going to keep an open mind. I don't care what they pay me. I don't care.
This was a guy that worked at the Ethereum Foundation, and listen to what he said.
They pay me. I want to maximize learning. I want to travel. And thank you, Ethereum Foundation, for giving me the opportunity to do that. It was very eye-opening. But after a year, 18 months, I was like, holy shit, like, what am I really doing here? I'm really pumping Joe Lubin's backs. All due respect to Joe Lubin and all the other, Ethereum whales. It's just not what I want to do. And the reason for that was largely the pre-mine, right? Because at that moment, 70%, 70, okay, 70% of all the Ether in existence as of a couple years ago had been distributed in the pre-mine. Today, it's about 60%. It's been diluted a little bit, right? So I don't know where you draw. I don't know what the right number is. I mean, we will never have another Bitcoin. We'll never have another immaculate conception. Again, I don't know if the right number is 10%, 15%, 20%. You could draw the line wherever you want. 70, 80, 70, 60 it's too much. It's just too much by almost an order of magnitude.
And who are the biggest holders within that? I know Vitalik, but I don't...
Vitalik's holdings are public, by the way.
Yeah.
He's very transparent.
And I don't... The strange thing about Vitalik is I don't see him as financially driven.
He's not. Trust me, I know him. He's not.
Yeah, whereas Joe Lubin clearly is.
He's a businessman.
Yeah. So Vitalik, Joe Lubin, who are the other key? Charles Hoskinson, perhaps.
I mean, here's the thing: we other than the very small number of people like Vitalik who are public, also the Ethereum Foundation multi-sig wallet address is public. We don't know. Okay, we don't know. I can assume that the people who happen to be the crypto bros that happened to be in the room at that time, and the very small number of investors who kind of got Ethereum circa 2015 did very well.
Okay,
right.
All right. So you've joined the foundation.
But the point is, it's on the order of a few hundred people, maybe 1,000, maybe a couple thousand people. It's a very small number of people.
But within that, there's a few who have very significant interest.
Yeah, it's a very long tail, and I've heard rumors. This is totally anecdotal that a very small number of individuals, like one or two ish people, single-handedly bought up very large percentages of the pre-mine, basically the ICO.
So what you're saying, so what you're saying is these founders of Ethereum could literally have the exact same situation that the SEC points at Ripple, who's been transparent and shown it, those founders of Ethereum could literally be holding the same large amount of holdings that they've always been pointing at Ripple for, like they're bad guys and they're centralized and we're not. You mean like that? You mean it could be a situation like that? That's the whole point, folks. Everything we've seen has been one huge lie. Until you know who those disguised whales are, you can't. Does anybody listen to my voice trust what Joseph Lubin says? Huh.
Able to proceed pseudonymously. There were no limits.
And again, as we've discussed,
this is Joseph Lubin on the phone with Stephen Narioff, and he's talking about deleting the money trail after they do the ICO. Listen to him.
There's a tension between running an open, transparent organization and protecting ourselves. And so maybe we agree to be open and transparent, except for everything from 90 days ago and past, because it's all gone. It's sort of like the way cryptocurrencies work. You can, there isn't a trail if you don't want there to be.
That guy is not in an SEC lawsuit or in a DOJ lawsuit. Are you kidding? So that I'm going to skip this one. Well, why not? What you've watched, this guy, Jake Chervinsky, unknowingly is describing exactly what the SEC, working with Consensus and Ethereum, exactly what they did is they created a decentralized theater. They tried to make Ethereum this thing, and it was all a lie. It's decentralized theater, trying to pretend like it's decentralized all this time.
That is, in a way, a good description of the term that Tracy used, which is decentralization theater. And I think it's important to talk about that just a little bit, because I think what a lot of people do is they ignore the way that I, again, think about decentralization, which is the absence of some central party that has some privileged role in the ecosystem. And what they want to do in the scope of decentralization theater is pretend like they are not playing that role, but then continue playing that role anyway, usually for regulatory purposes, but sometimes also for community signaling purposes or other reasons. And I think that is a huge mistake. Just like Jesse said, both operationally, I think it causes a lot of problems at a point when it...
Yeah, decentralized theater, all right. Now, Joseph Lubin at ETH Denver, if you don't think he's talking about the XRP army here, he's probably talking about Stephen Narioff and Boring Sleuth. But from Lubin's point of view, they're just coming after us because there's a lot of financial interests and all that. No, all I want is a level playing field. That's the only reason I've ever talked about any of this.
So a lot of the time people ask me if I think things are going well.
I don't want Joseph Lubin to have a monopoly with Ethereum. I think he ought to have to compete with other protocols because his is no more decentralized than any of them. That's a bunch of bull.
System. Is this what I expected? And generally that's a big yes. I'm amazed at how little resistance, despite all the resistance that we've encountered, I'm amazed at how little resistance really we've encountered given the vested interests on the planet. They've woken up quite significantly and the attacks will continue. Maybe they will intensify, maybe not. But the bottom line is that we built these amazing systems, decentralized protocols, interacting, modular components, a whole new vision for a system of the world, a new system of the world. So a lot of the time people ask...
This guy, I think he's as scared as Elizabeth Warren.
If I think things are going well in our ecosystem.
Stephen Narioff, he should be. Look at this. The recent revelations surrounding the Ethereum Foundation and their alleged involvement in illicit activities are irrefutable and unbelievable. If only we had the support of the government and media, this would have been front page news by now. Despite these clear hurdles, people continue claiming that we are simply making up allegations for our own enjoyment or to gain external benefits, which is preposterous. We have already released more information than we had initially anticipated, and we are ready to reveal the full scope of ETHgate, along with my corruption case that I fought and successfully won with prejudice against the DOJ. Just like SBF and Madoff, the truth will eventually come out, no matter how hard they try to hide it. Brace yourselves, because the coming waves of change will be beyond your wildest imagination. We are on the brink of crypto 2.0, and what's in store is going to be revolutionary. Oof. I'm gonna skip a few things because I'm trying to get this video. It's already at 15 minutes here. When I was a little long-winded, but I do want to show you this. This Breezy guy, XRP Breezy, brought something important to my attention. Hey, digital asset investor, something that hasn't been highlighted enough, in my opinion. Ashley Prosper did a Freedom of Information Act request with the SEC last year. Why on earth would somebody from JP Morgan and the SEC be discussing Ripple or XRP 217 times? So the search for the in other words, they never, my understanding is they never gave Ashley Prosper anything, but they did reveal through what she was doing that they had 217 pages. She was asking in the Freedom of Information Act request for any, oh, here, well, I'll show you. So here's what she was asking for. For any, let's see here. I think she listed it here. Yeah, right here. In August 2022, asking for communications including emails, letters, memos, and notes between JP Morgan and the SEC during 2013 to 2018. And it was any of those things where Ripple and or XRP was discussed. And apparently the SEC would not give her the stuff, and she was going to sue them, and somehow the lawsuit didn't work out with the people she was working with. But anyway, so she's bringing this to the attention of the Empower organization and Tristan Levitt, who works there, and Jason Foster. Levitt is what is this? I don't think president. Okay, Jason Foster is founder, but they both are involved with Empower. So she's bringing it to their attention, and also this needs to be brought to the attention of Meta Lawman, because he's got a Freedom of Information Act request. If you remember, when the New York Department of Financial Services, I think it was, they were after Ripple won the lawsuit, the New York Department of Financial Services, or whatever it's called, they took XRP off of the approved list after that. So Meta Lawman's got one Freedom of Information Act request going where he's asking if the SEC had any communication with that office before they did that. And he's been getting the runaround too, but Meta Lawman's not the kind of guy you mess with. He'll go all the way. And so that's in process too. Then we had this yesterday. John Deaton was at ETH Denver. He's running for office now. And this is a further proving the point. This is not about, ETHgate's never been about destroying Ethereum or Bitcoin. That's never been it. It's been about getting a level playing field. We're outraged for a reason, because to this day we sit here and XRP they're intentionally keeping it wrapped up in a lawsuit that shouldn't have ever happened, and it happened because of regulatory capture, and that was the mission. The lawsuit was the weapon. It's not about disliking Ethereum or not wanting Ethereum to do well. I want Ethereum to do real well. In fact, once we're past all of this, I'll probably get some Ethereum. I may get some before we're past all this. It makes me nervous owning Ethereum right now, because you could still see, without hurting Ethereum, you could still see people associated with it gone after, which would hurt the price. So Caitlin Long took this picture with John Deaton, and then here John got up, and I actually just happened to be sitting at my computer. I'll show you a little bit of this.
People ask me, why am I running? Let me tell you, I'm from a place called Highland Park, Detroit, one of the most violent neighborhoods in America for the last 40 years. A single mother on welfare and food stamps who struggled to put food on the table. And I'm telling you, I listened to my mother cry at night on the nights that she...
He did a real great job. It's about 4 minutes. You can go to my feed and see it. Wanted to bring to your attention, you know how Elizabeth Warren that John's running against, you know how she's always attacking the billionaires and all that. Well, it's all lip service. I've been using Grock AI this weekend. I love it. I asked Grock to list Elizabeth Warren's largest donors. Right here, quite a list of wealthy supporters. Look at all these names. Ann Cox Chambers, James Cox Chambers, Dolby, Faulkner, Gores, Hagen. Here's one down here you might recognize. Let's see. It goes on. Don't worry. Fast forward to 2017-18. George and Judy Marcus, Stuart and Linda Resnick, Jeffrey Skull. But wait, there's more. In 2019, she had a whole new batch of billionaire supporters, among them Bill Gates, Amy Goldman, Laureen Powell Jobs, Henry Laufer, Haim Saban. Oh, and there's George Soros, Steven Spielberg, Thomas Steyer. This guy right here tells it all, folks. Same guy that Gary Gensler was meeting with, him and you know who, and you know that woman who is married to the guy that used to be president that we don't say out here, but we will say in DAIXRP.com. Yeah, Gary Gensler was meeting with him and her and Nancy Pelosi and deleted it from his calendar, tried to hide it. Somebody found it doing a Freedom of Information Act request. What else is Gary hiding? And then these are also people that have donated, organizations that have donated to Elizabeth Warren. So you see the problem. There's the Soros Fund again. Elizabeth Warren is the problem. She's a farce. Okay, in DAIXRP.com, this weekend I was playing with Grock, and let me tell you what, Grock is delivering up information that we weren't getting when you could just use Google. I found out two or three things that I did not know having to do with crypto. In fact, I would say that in crypto you have the big three lies. The first lie is that they don't know who Satoshi is. They know there's 4 Satoshis and they've met with them. The second biggest lie is the Ethereum disguised whales. That's an intentional lie because those concentrated owners, the whole mission, from what I believe, the whole mission was to keep those hidden so that you could yell decentralization from the rooftop, but actually have control of it via ownership behind the scenes and hide your ownership. That way you can control the finance. If Ethereum becomes a huge part of the financial system, you can control it secretly for the next 100 years. That's what I believe the plan was. Well, there's a third lie. The third, I'd call it the third of the 3 big lies. And I'm going to show it to you in DAIXRP.com. I'm the digital asset investor, not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go. The third lie, the third huge lie in crypto.